Hey, hi there boys and girls, and welcome back to the channel. Right, we got some more Ace Mastery replays for you. I've had a bit of a dry spot with aces lately. I seem to be getting cursed with lots of first class masteries and no aces, so you haven't got one of my games in here today, but thankfully three wonderful people have managed to do better than I have and get some aces. And here we are, first of all, with Eliminator. We have featured him on the channel before, and he's rolling out on Dead Rail in the T1 Heavy. Now, this is definitely one of my favourite tanks to jump into when I'm having a bad day with the game, or and I just want to go brawling. Basically, I jump into this, head straight into the enemy heavies, and keep turning, bouncing, shooting until I get blown up and have a huge amount of fun. It's just what I use this tank for, and yeah, it's a very good tank. Generally, I mean, it's got a good gun. The gun's pretty accurate. You're going to see demonstrations of that here. He makes quite a few clutch shots long before the dispersions come down. So you're going to notice that the gun itself is quite accurate, but the redeeming quality, or the redeeming characteristic of this tank, is the armour. The armour at the front is very, very troll. So if angled up, you will take plenty of bounces, and you're going to see Eliminator do that in this game. So we've taken out our first guy. We've decided to come around, get this guy tracked a couple of times so we can get the easier pens through the side. Good play there. So this fella's not far off going back to the garage. Now we're getting pressed on by our friend in the med over here. And you can see what I mean about the bounces. I mean, he's up to 1100 bounce damage already now, and having no difficulty getting the pens with the accuracy into the cupola. There, he's done it about 3 or 4 times now, so he's managed to reduce both of these guys down to a one shot, and he really hasn't taken a great deal of damage for it. So yeah, as you can see, we're going to very clearly clear these guys up for kills 2 and 3, up to over 1500 damage now, well over half his hit points still remaining, and we're looking in very good position here. So now it's time to get over the other flank. Mr. Leopard there, very lucky, moved away. He was about to cop a lovely HE shell straight through the side. However, we've got more business, and that's what I was saying about the gun. Not even waiting for the dispersion to come down in some cases, and still managing to be accurate enough to get the shots. I mean, obviously that's not always going to happen, but RNG was with our friend here today. Again, tight shot there, still made it, no problem at all. Angles up, takes another bounce. So we've got to start isolating off targets here. We've got 2 on the left, so that's where our friend is going to head. And again, more difficult shots through the top of the turret there, but not a problem in this tank. Sometimes it does struggle for pen through the hull, but when you've got this kind of accuracy, you can pick your shots, and the armour allows you to wait it out a little bit and to make sure you get them. Again, bounced all of that from the Leopard there. I really don't know why people drive those things since it was nerfed a few years ago. It's just never been the same tank. So we managed to get our 4th kill cleared up. Unfortunately, somebody else does take the Leopard out, so he's sort of robbed of that one, if you will. But we're going to close on our last guy here, and as you can see, medium up against an angled up T1 Heavy. This is only going to go one way, and it's just very routinely just going to clear this guy up, take kill number 5, and come away with the win here. Very good tanking, very accurate tanking, good angling of his tank, and a solid performance. My friend gets a well-deserved ace mastery, 2700 damage and 5 kills. And wow, yeah, did his team need that? That was a big carry, wasn't it? 3 with a big fat 0. That's awful, isn't it? Great play, my friend, great play. Okay, and our next game, we're rolling out with Tank Maestro on Force Creek with the I2SH Imperturbable. Not a tank I've driven, this one, actually. So I've watched a few games with it, but I've not actually driven it myself. And Tank Maestro is platooned up with Griff from GTC1, who has been having some excellent games, been putting a number of good replays into the Discord channel recently, and Griff's rolling around in the Shark, a tank he has acquired recently, and looking by some of the numbers that he's been putting up there recently, a tank that he is doing very, very well in, certainly consistently does a lot better than I do in the tank, actually. So he's doing very, very well in the tank. Okay, so we're out Falls Creek. The guys have decided to dash into the sea cap. Our friend here has decided to commit suicide by jumping in there with 3 tanks and giving away his hit point pool. Well done, my friend. Sound tactical play. I'm sure your teammates will thank you for that later. So Maestro is going to push up. We've managed to cap the base, so it's time to potentially see if we can clear this flank and get over onto the other flank. As you can see, there is a Drac on the green team, and I'm happy to say that the person driving and actually does a reasonable job and doesn't just YOLO around the place for once, which tends to be what Drac drivers tend to do. But this fellow obviously plays the tank well. So Maestro pushing around on this right flank now. As you can see, it's not all going Green's way. They're a tank down at the moment. They're also capture points down, so you've got to be a little careful here. But Maestro manages to make that shot for kill number 2. He's still looking pretty healthy, as is his platoon mate. So that's evened up the game on kills somewhat. So now we've got to get round here and see what we can do to assist the rest of the team and get this closed out. Doesn't quite make that shot. You can see his buddy up there, teammate up there, is a one shot and probably not going to survive it. But Maestro's going to do his best to at least try and give him some hand, and which he does, clears this guy up. So we're not looking too bad. His teammate unfortunately does cop it there. Now here's an interesting passage of play. I remember when I watched the replay of this the first time, I was yeah. Now as you can see, off to the left, Griff is getting himself into a tangle with multiple tanks here. As you can see, the another red TD is heading down to target him. Now my first instinct, I have to say, would have been to sort of get down there and bail your teammate out. It'd be interesting to see if the guys are on comms, but for and how they sort of went around this one. I mean, certainly that tank, Griff is capable of holding his own, but against 3 tanks, it's only ever going to go one way. He does a fantastic job. He's obviously taken a big chunk out, but ultimately does get killed. So that leaves Maestro here in a 2-on-1. He caps off the A cap base. However, now the C cap base has been taken off, so he's going to play the game sensibly. We are cap points down, we are tanks down, so he knows he's got to at least take a kill or capture one more enemy, one more base. So it's not necessarily the traditional ending to a game. He's got to think his way through this one. Now our friend here, now this is, yeah, to a certain extent, they're just really not thinking this through, Red. They're really not. There are bases up, they are capture points up, their tanks up. Now if they come together, they can take him out, or literally they can wait and watch this guy, you know, have to chase them and put them on the defensive. But what they've actually done is separated themselves off, allowing Maestro the freedom to actually start putting damage in one tank at a time. Now they've come together a little bit, but that's already too late for one of them. And one of them is now very low, especially with the kind of alpha this gun can push out. So, yep, it's the capture points are racking up here. Now, Red have got this all for the win if they'd just thought that through, but they've allowed Maestro to come back into it now. So he's not going to mess about with capture points. He's not going to mess about bases. He's only got one way to win this, and that's to close this out and get this guy killed. So our friend does a runner for it. Maestro tries the cross map shot, doesn't quite pull it off. So nope, we've got no choice now. We've got to potentially see if we can cap this one out. Now I don't think he's got the chance to get to C in time to take the cap off C, so the only choice he's really got is to jump into B and then basically gets down to a race on who can accumulate supremacy points fastest. So that's what he's done. He's going to keep an eye on our friend here in the light tank. So yeah, it's a little bit of a scrappy end to it, but all fair play to Maestro. He did think it through at the end, and as you can see, manages to cap out the base. It's now becoming a race with the supremacy points. He's going to use the last remaining seconds to see if he can close this guy down and get a shot onto him. Now we know where our friend has gone. He's just jumped into the A caps, not going to do him any good, and Maestro manages to close that one out, take the win on cap points. 3 tanks destroyed, just over 3,000 damage. Griff doing very, very well, 2,000 damage, 2 kills in his tank. Good platoon to play there, fellas, and well thought out towards the end. Thank you very much. Okay, and our last game, we are here with Ascools BVBA. Yeah, not going to try and pronounce that all game. Cool, okay, I'm going to call it cool. There we go. And we're in the IS-4. And solid tank, the IS-4, one of the debates that rages in Blitz quite a lot is which line to go up if you're going up a Russian tech tree line for a heavy tank. Some people swear by the IS-7, some swear by the IS-4. I think the general consensus of opinion is the IS-4 is probably pound for pound the slightly stronger tank all round. However, it is a bit more of a challenge to drive it. The IS-7 is a little bit more forgiving. But the IS-7 does have its faults as well, and it's probably one of the most ammo-racked tanks in the game. Doesn't have necessarily the accuracy that the IS-4 does, and the IS-4, whilst it doesn't have quite the same level of troll armour, will take a lot of bounces if it is angled and driven well. So yeah, it's a constant source of debate, that one within the game. I personally went for the IS-4 rather than the IS-7. That was obviously, it comes down to personal choice. There were some good tanks on the IS-4 line. I enjoyed the tier 9 tank. There were some I didn't enjoy as well. KB4 was particularly bad. Yeah, it's both tanks are good tanks. Tier 10, I think the IS-7 is one of the most played tier 10s in the game. But IS-4 for me is slightly the better tank. Okay, so here we are. Looks like friends on the green, they've gone for the C cap flank, taken C, and now it looks like we're going to be rolling into town. It's 5 tanks apiece at this point, 1 base apiece at this point, and our friend has just racked up about 800 damage, but he's cleared up 2 tanks quite quickly, so he's logged up 2 early kills, and now we're into town, and this is where we have to start pulling it out. So this is where you're going to get the gun to work with the IS-4. For me, that was one of the biggest selling points of the tank. I just preferred the gun on this tank, and I think, yeah, with the fact that it will bounce very, very well if angled, effectively means it is a slightly more challenging drive, but for me, the better one for it. So coming down here, we're getting looks at the sides of the enemy team. Unfortunately, takes a bounce there. Now we know we've got 2 heavies over here. We've got one friendly med over here, so he's probably got his hands full. So again, another horrible track shot bounce there, no damage. So he's got to be careful here, but as you can see, just by the angles that he's maintaining, using the buildings as cover, doing his very best to take free shots where he's not going to take damage in return, he's managing to preserve the hit point pool of his tank. It's coming down to a 3-on-3 now, and as we all know, when it comes down to these later stages of the game, having a lot of hit points available to you can sometimes be the difference between a win and a loss. Now, with 2 tanks on him, he's starting to take some damage, so he needs to isolate off one of them. Unfortunately, yeah, one of these guys turns away and goes for the easy kill on the on another green tank, so he takes a round for that. So our friend here is going to do his best to hold this position. He's going to take any target of opportunity that comes to him. Then he's now gone a tank down, so in we go with another shot there, and as you can see, it's starting to look pretty tough now. Now, as we can see, the 2 red tanks on the left flank, they've just cleared up that left flank, but they've certainly cost them some damage doing it. So they're pretty low, so number 1 priority's got to be this fellow in front of him. So I'll pull back here, continue to take the bounces, clears one up. So that's reduced the number of effective guns on him. Very, very good play there. Get around here, stick another one into him. There we go. So effectively, if he gets a good roll here, he's pretty close to having 2 one-shot tanks in front of him. And he's taken quite a bit of damage now. He's less than half his hit points, so he's got to think it through. but the thing that is in his favour is now supremacy points up. Gets the track shot there, does a bit more damage, unfortunately doesn't clear up. Slightly more hit points there than needed for a one shot. So there we go, there's the second round going in, takes another vital bounce there, clears up his second to last target, and now we've just got to close this guy. Use the cover of the dead tank. We're up to over 5,000 damage now. Played a very solid game, very good example of how to drive this tank and keep it angled, keep it alive. And as you can see, we're just going to roll through town now, go for the quick snapshot, doesn't get it, goes in for a bit of ram damage. Yeah, this is now going to come down to who gets the shot in. It's going to be our friend. Takes another shot, but it doesn't go in. I was quite surprised by that one. So thankfully he does take a bounce. So he's got the time to clear this one off. There we go. There goes kill number 5 and the win. So a good display of all-round competent tanking there, keeping the gun in the game, keeping the tank angled, a well-deserved ace mastery, 5 kills, just over 5,400 damage. Fantastic game from our friend there in the IS-4. Okay, boys and girls, I'd like to thank our contributors for the video this week. As always, very grateful for that. Thank you all for watching, and as always, good hunting, and bye for now.